Hey guys, welcome to Hack of the Day episode 12. Now I know I'd promised that I'd probably try and do a hack every single day, but unfortunately I couldn't keep my promise to you guys. And I was traveling a lot and work was pretty hectic, and when there isn't work, there's always family. So sorry about that, and hopefully I should be able to put out more episodes than I did previously. Anyway, so coming to Hack of the Day episode 12. In this video, I'm going to take you through a scenario based hacking uh, demonstration. And in this, I'm going to look at pivots and port forwards, right? And honestly, this is probably like a medium level difficulty from an attack perspective. Uh, Now, what am I recreating? Before that, shameless self-promotion, security due trainings. Please have a look at our paid trainings. I'm sure you would like some of them. So the scenario is really one of the exams which we had conducted for our SMFE certification, right? And we keep changing and cycling out these exams. And pretty much all one has to do in this specific exam was to break into a machine with the IP address 192.168.58.90 and create a web directory hacked at the root URL, and inside that put an index.html which contains the sentence "you've been hacked," right? Now, we also at times give a couple of hints to simplify, and really I wouldn't call it simplify. I would pretty much say, in the interest of time, to probably look at what is important and then see if the students have the skill required. So here is a simplification. Just look at three machines whenever you have an option: 56.1.1.10, 57.90 and 58.90, right? Now, the only ports you really need to be bothered about, no matter which machine you scan, is 2280, 443, 445 and 8080, right? And honestly speaking, again, this isn't a simplification, because if you were scanning any random IP address on the internet, these are probably some of the more common ports you would end up scanning to check if anything is running. Okay, fantastic. Now there's just one stipulation: pretty much all the attacks which we will do here would be using Metasploit. And the simple reason is, as I said, this is an exam for the SMFE certification. So, you would have to use Metasploit, right? Oh, awesome. So let me log into one of the lab machines, which pretty much is Kali. And if we go back to the question paper, it basically says three machines: 56.1.1.10, 57.90, 58.90. Okay. If I do an if config, I actually see ETH0 is on 56 and ETH1 is on 1. Now 1 is not something which is in the scope of the exam. 56.1110 is, right? Here it is. So let's go ahead and run a quick scan with service fingerprinting on 192.168.56.1110. Ports we are interested in are 220.80, 443, 445 and 8080 as given in the exam paper. Let's see what we get. And by the way, I mean, we have the SMFE exam as a separate offering which you can take for $100 and get certified if you feel like taking this up as a challenge. Okay, so we have a bunch of ports in there. Definitely looks like port 80 and port 445 are pretty much wide open and directly accessible. Port 80 seems to be running an HTTPD with the name BadBlue. Interesting. So let me actually go ahead and start Metasploit and see if there are any exploits available for BadBlue. If not, we'll then focus on port 445, right? And try NetAPI exploits. In the meantime, how is it going for all of you? Unfortunately, none of you can speak and respond, but you can always leave behind your comments. Some of my good friends, Aperture Security. I hope you're still around, and are you going to respond to me in the comment section below, or any of my old friends from the Wi-Fi Mega Primer. So please do say a hi in the comment section. So let's search for Bad Blue. Aha. So we seem to have two exploits available in Metasploit for Bad Blue. One of them is 2.5 and the other is 2.7.2. And if we quickly look back in the Nmap scan, the one we have here is 2.7, right? Which means probably 2.7.2 would be a better choice. So let's use this. Set our host to 1110. Let's just hit exploit and see what happens. Okay. So this says the target server fingerprint blah 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 does not match what was required. Okay. Now I trust Nmap, so let me just go ahead and set fingerprint check to false and then try exploiting again. Aha! Looks like my dear friend Metasploit. Yeah, Nmap was right. Get UID, sysinfo. Looks like this is a Windows 7 machine, and looks like we've broken in as a user, unfortunately not system. Anyway, no worries. So again, what we need to eventually get to is the machine 58.90, and in between we've already gone ahead and exploited 56.1110, and apart from 58.90, pretty much we are searching for 57.90. Let me do a quick IP config and look at the interfaces. This is useless. 56.1110, this was pretty much what we've exploited. And then here is 57.101. Aha, this is interesting because we are interested in 57.90. So let me quickly run an ARP scanner on the whole subdomain. On the whole, or really what we are interested in, 57.2 to 54, and see if we can get 57.90. Of course, we could really have even started a shell and tried a ping or something like that, given that the exam does have you a couple of possibilities here. So let's see what happens. 57.90 is up. Fantastic. 57.101 seems to be up as well. I haven't bothered much about that. Now, what I'd really like to do is run a port scan on 57.90. Now, unfortunately, I cannot do it directly from here. So this is where we use pivoting, right? Now, if you do not know what pivoting is, go back to the SMFE videos. Those are absolutely freely available on SecurityTube, and see what pivoting is and how to create pivots, right? I'll jump right to the meat. So let me background the current session and let me add a new route. 57 is the network we are interested in, and this would go through the Meterpreter session ID 1. Right, let me verify the route. It's there. And now let's go ahead and run a TCP scan. So I'm going to go auxiliary scanner, port scan, TCP, set our hosts 57.90, set ports 80, 443, 445, 22, 80, 80, and let's go ahead and run this. 445 is the only one which is open. Interesting, which means net API exploit would be something we should try. There are a bunch of them. We'll actually go with the 2008, 08, 067 one. Set our host 192.168.57.90. If I remember the IP address correctly. Yep. Now, in the case of going ahead and doing an exploitation through a pivot, we can't do a reverse TCP directly. So we're going to use a bind TCP. So you're going to set the payload to Windows meterpreter bind TCP. Just go with the default options and let's hit exploit. There you go. Looks like an XPSP3. And we are about to get a meterpreter shell. Fantastic. Sysinfo. Get UID. Awesome. We are running a system because we exploited Net API. Let me do an IP config. And now I finally see the network 58.1110 through one of the available interfaces. Fantastic. So I'm going to go back, add a new route. So this is the second pivot we would have. 192.168.58 network. And this is going to go through meterpreter session 2. Let's print the route. And if you notice, we have now beautifully 2 sessions lined up. The second exploitation is really via the pivot. And you can see all the details in here. Fantastic. So the IP address we are now interested in is 58.90. Let's just verify this is available to us using an ARP scan. So let me connect back to the session section. Run ARP scanner. 92.168. And let's see what happens. Fantastic. 58.90 is accessible. Let's background the session and let's just again go ahead and use our port scanner. And let's run the scan. 80, 80, 22 and 80, all of them are actually open. Interesting. Now 22 definitely is an SSH port, so one of the options which we have is probably to try an SSH brute force attack. That's something you really want to save for the end. 8080 could typically be some kind of a proxy or something running there, and 80 of course is a web server, right? So I think from an order perspective, I'd like to check 80 first, then try and look at the proxy and see if I can do something there, and then finally look at port 22, right? The reason also is probably to exploit a proxy, you may have to use a vulnerability in the proxy software itself. SSH, pretty much rare case, you may have older versions which may be vulnerable, or else it could just be some sort of a brute force or a dictionary attack, right? Port 80 is interesting because at times, apart from Apache, of course, having a vulnerable version, you could also have web applications which could be vulnerable, right? So port 80 is interesting from that perspective. Now, the question is, how do I look at what is there in port 80? Now, to do that, I'll have to create a port forward so that I can locally connect from my Kali instance to port 80 of 192.168.50.90, right? So to do that, I'm going to connect back to my session, and port forward -h gives me the options. I'm going to create a port forward. The local listening port is, let's say, 9999, and the remote port, of course, is going to be 80, and the remote IP is going to be 168.50.90. I forgot the add statement. Fantastic. Okay, now I can always go back to the other terminal and use netcat localhost 9999 to connect to the remote port 80 of 192.168.58.90. Connected. Let me actually fetch the root page and see what I get. Interesting. So it looks like I'm getting an index of some kind, and there are a bunch of things in there, or really pretty much just one thing in there, a URL which points to something called queued flow, and basically it's just a link to a directory, right? This is one way of doing it. The other is you'll have to install something like Links, which is a text browser, and then you could basically tell Links just go to localhost 9999. Now, if you're wondering what I'm doing here, port forwarding is not clear to you, go back to the SMFE video tutorials on SecurityTube and go to the specific video which talks about port forwarding to demystify what is happening here, right? Okay, so let me use Links, and Links beautifully shows me this. And I can clearly see there is a directory called qtflow v.2.11 blah blah blah, right? And I think pretty much inside this directory I have a login, a username, password, and all that stuff. Interesting, right? Okay, so let's search if Meterpreter has anything for Qtflow. Let me go ahead and use this. So it looks like my lucky day. Meterpreter seems to have a Qtflow vulnerability discovered as early as 2012. It's hardly been a year. And this is an arbitrary file upload. Fantastic, which means pretty much we can get a shell on the box. So I'm going to set our host 58.90, set the payload to PHP, Meterpreter bind TCP, and let's try and exploit the process. Okay, let's look at the options. Now, interestingly, if you look at this URL and the one here, we actually see that the V has been kind of concatenated together. So the target URI would need to be changed to /this, and now let's hit an exploit again. There you go. Still waiting for our little session. To come through. There you go. So we are www data. Interesting. Let's just do a PWD, say where we are. Let's go up a couple of levels. Awesome. So the challenge really is to create a directory called hacked here, and looks like the server is a bit misconfigured because seems like a previous directory had rwx all permissions enabled, so it's highly likely that we would have those permissions in as well. Looks like we do. Go back in here, change directory hack, get a shell on the box, echo you have been hacked to index.html. And if I were to go back here and use links, I would find that the directory hack has been created, and if I go in there, you have been hacked is displayed, right? Mission accomplished, right? Fantastic. So we did not use any new vulnerabilities or anything like that. As I said, the real stipulation was to be able to use Metasploit, navigate through all of these pivots and create the right port forward so that you are able to access the vulnerable applications. The applications here itself, it was assumed that you have a vulnerability for them, right? Which may not always be the case, which means you could look for misconfigurations or even try and find 0 days and whatnot. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave your comments behind for other scenarios you would have look at, and I'll try to create them for you. Now, before you leave, this was a sample exam of the SMFE course which we have. So in case you're interested, if you've already seen the free videos, please go ahead and register just for the exam. I think it's just $100. Or if you'd like help with Metasploit, register for the whole course and I will help you personally in the students forum. That's all, guys. See you in the next video. Bye-bye. Up scanning to check if anything is running. Okay. Fantastic. Now there's just one stipulation. Pretty much all the attacks which we will do here would be using Metasploit. And the simple reason is, as I said, this is an exam for the SMFE certification. So, you would have to use Metasploit, right? Oh, awesome. So let me log into one of the lab machines, which pretty much is Kali. And if we go back to the question paper, to probably look at what is important and then see if the students have the skill required. So here is a simplification. Just look at 3 machines whenever you have an option: 561110, 5790 and 5890, right? Now the only ports you really need to be bothered about, no matter which machine you scan, is 2280, 443, 445 and 8080, right? And honestly speaking, again, this isn't a simplification, because if you were scanning any random IP address on the internet, these are probably some of the more common ports you would end up, right? And we keep changing and cycling out these exams. And pretty much all one has to do in this specific exam was to break into a machine with the IP address 192.168.58.90 and create a web directory hacked at the root URL. And inside that put an index.html which contains the sentence "you've been hacked," right? Now we also at times give a couple of hints to simplify, and really I wouldn't call it simplify. I would pretty much say, in the interest of time, a scenario based hacking demonstration, and in this I'm going to look at pivots and port forwards, right? And honestly, this is probably like a medium level difficulty from an attack perspective. Now what am I recreating? Before that, shameless self-promotion, security due trainings. Please have a look at our paid trainings. I'm sure you would like some of them. So the scenario is really one of the exams which we had conducted for our SMFE certification. Hey guys, welcome to Hack of the Day episode 12. Now I know I'd promised that I'd probably try and do a hack every single day, but unfortunately, I couldn't keep my promise to you guys. And I was traveling a lot, and work was pretty hectic. And when there isn't work, there's always family. So sorry about that, and hopefully, I should be able to put out more episodes than I did previously. Anyway, so coming to Hack of the Day episode 12. In this video, I'm going to take you through